Hey everybody, it's me, Ned. Welcome back to my warehouse. This evening I really wanted to drink this, the Paterna Chianti Colli Aretini. This is a little organic, like, farm winery in the Arezzo Hills. That's what Colli Aretini means. This is the far, northeast of the Chianti appellation, which Chianti is a huge place. It's a third of the arable land of Tuscany. So there's all these different subzones, where Brunello di Montalcino is, that's part of Chianti. That's Chianti Colli Sienese down there. So, up here, Chianti Colli Aretini, up in the Arezzo Hills. This is some of the highest elevation and coolest vineyard land in Tuscany, in Chianti, which is great because 2015 was a really hot, big, ripe vintage. Some places in central Italy, the wines I feel like were too high alcohol. They're kind of like monsters. This though here, this cooler, higher elevation part of Chianti, it worked out great. So this is a little tiny farm, started in '78. It was a multi-generational family farm that then the last members of that family, they were moving on or something. So they sold the farm to some friends from Florence who bought it and turned it into a commune. So yes, it is technically a commune, a Societe Agricola Cooperativa, but it's not like a floral print, flowing robes, twirling kind of commune. It's a commune in that different people, the technical definition of this, I guess, would be different people who are not related by blood live here in different buildings, but they all work together to maintain the farm, to produce wine, grow grain, harvest it, mill it, bake it into bread, make flour, all that. It's a legit farm. I was here in spring of 2017. It was an amazing place. I got to walk around and talk to the woman who's kind of taking the lead on winemaking here right now, Claudia. I'll roll a clip here of her talking about working in the vineyards, vine diseases that she deals with. Most of it's in Italian, but you get a sense of the background of the land, the hills and stuff.
Questo antico vitigno, sempre autoctono, che era stato abbandonato alla fine degli anni 60 perché è stato poi recuperato dall'università. In questo momento saremo una quindicina di aziende, ci sono, però sono sparse un po' in tutta la regione e effettivamente molto, cioè produce davvero molto poco, non avevano tutti i torti ad averlo abbandonato, e solo che però c'ha questo grappolo piccolo a forma di pugno, da cui il nome, con gli acidi abbastanza grandi, una buccia molto spessa, poi gli dà quel colore meraviglioso che poi
So it's basically Punitello was a variety that was essentially abandoned in the 1960s or so because of its really low production output. When modernization of winemaking was really coming around at that time, it was one of the grapes that when wineries were kind of going, okay, well, let's make more wine, better wine, there was the stuff like that went away. A lot of university research at Siena, and basically now, today, maybe 15 producers have a little bit, and it's always a little bit of Punitello. And it's true, she said it really produces not a lot. It's a pain in the ass to work, but they like having it. And that it produces Punitello means fists and to punch. And it makes basically the grappoli, it makes the bushels of berries look like little fists. And so you end up with, what's really cool about it is it has big berries and thick skins and lots of color, and that's why you get this really intense color out of it. So you could imagine in the old days it was one of those grapes that was sparse but gave a little bit of potence to the wine. So that was why it would be mixed with the Sangiovese, which was always a little leaner and lighter. So now, ora avete quanto Punitello?
sono 8.000 metri.
800.8 hectares. 800.
So yeah, amazing place, really, really great location, and the whole point of what they're doing, they're trying really hard to keep things as traditional as possible. One of the other guys involved is actually a professor of traditional Tuscan, like, agricultural crafts. He's a professor at a school in Florence called Lorenzo de' Medici, which I actually went to. I attended Lorenzo de' Medici 18 years ago. Claudia was one of his students there at the school years ago. That's how they met. That's how she got involved with the farm. So they are out in the Arezzo Hills. They make Chianti Colli Aretini. They make a few other wines that are very limited, of red and a white, which are even more traditional than this. It's a red that it's not legally Chianti because they blend in white grapes, but it's kind of an expression of what simple Chianti used to be like generations ago. They just kind of make it for the love of keeping that style of wine alive. They make another Sangiovese that's like older vines, aged longer, held in wood cask, and then held in bottle for a long time. Very serious, like sort of along the lines of Brunello, although I don't want to, totally different place. They only make that in the best vintages. And then they make a wine from a grape called Pugnatello, which is a semi-extinct local indigenous grape that has very low yields, thick skins, kind of sort of analogous to like Sagrantino, that used to be used as a blending grape. They still use it as a blending grape when they need to, but in good vintages they make a wine just from that. I usually get maybe 5 cases of those wines each per year. They're pretty rare. This is what they do the most of because Chianti Colli Aretini is a relatively prestigious wine in Italy. Like, this is what pays the bills for them. Anyway, geez, all this talking. This is a beautiful wine. The 2015 vintage worked out great, and this has had long enough in bottle. I've been drinking this vintage for like a year and a half now, and it's like really, really hitting it right now. The aroma is really pretty. It's actually not like a classic sort of quintessential Sangiovese aroma. Like, it's a lot of fresh cherries, and there's a dry dustiness. Not warehouse dust. It's not just my dirty, dusty warehouse. It's dusty, like dried Tuscan dusty earth. The aroma is mostly fruit, but there's also a really pretty floral quality. It's something like violets, but like more perfumey than that. That's great. But I'm actually not used to running into it in Sangiovese. But then again, I'm not used to like this part of Tuscany. I'm used to more of like the warmer, or like central, like down near Siena and all of that. But geez, it's a very pretty aroma. It's very juicy on the palate. I shouldn't put that much emphasis on it. It is juicy, it's fruit-driven, but the fruit is completely balanced by the tannin that the wine has. It's not aggressively tannic. The tannins aren't like bearing down on you, but they're there all throughout the flavor progression of the wine. You get this really juicy, mouth-filling fruit right up front as the wine hits your palate. You get there's nice, like, fresh acidity. You get a little bit of the sensation of the tannin and like a black pepperiness on the mid palate, but then there's a little bit more like Tuscan earthiness, a little bit more black pepper and spice that comes in as the wine like moves to the back of your palate, and the tannins come in a little bit more. And at no point are the tannins really, like I said, they're not really aggressive, but they just totally balance out the wine, where you have the fruit, you have the cherries up front, and then you have the tannins in the back that just linger and kind of like draw the palate out, make the flavors linger there longer. It's a great medium-bodied wine. That you could do with a really wide range of food. Boy. And then there's like a little bit of like a fresh fruit flavor that comes back again. A little bit of like really fresh cherry that comes back after the finish. I can imagine this with like everything from roast chicken through, you know, steaks, the famous bistecca alla Fiorentina, you know, like any rich, fatty, meaty cut of beef, like a New York strip steak, a ribeye, something like that. This would kick ass. This wine is pretty awesome, particularly now that it's had time in the bottle and it's started to open up. I would definitely decant this if you have the opportunity. Dump it into something, a pitcher, a flower vase, not just your mouth. Dump it into something that's going to aerate the wine. It is a fantastic expression of traditional Sangiovese Chianti, what really good Chianti tasted like, you know, probably 60, 70 years ago, because they're not using any modern technology. They're trying really hard to like maintain this way of life. They're very passionate, and because of the place where they are, the climate, like they're not dealing with global warming the same way that a lot of other places are. So this really kicks ass. Very much worth seeking out. It's under $20, available all over Maine. Beautiful label, easy enough to just walk in somewhere, ask for this Paterna Chianti. Any retail shop can get it. Thanks a lot. I'm going to enjoy this with some dinner now.